This is my first video update coming to you from a windy, rainy, cloudy Limassol, Cyprus. On this Monday morning, let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the Australian Open. Novak Djokovic won his 10th Australian Open title yesterday. That gives him 22 Grand Slam titles, places him at the top of the list along with Rafael Nadal for most Grand Slam titles. And this was a well-deserved win from Djokovic, especially after all he went through last year at the Australian Open. Mainly, the Australian Open did not allow Djokovic to play, and they actually detained him at the airports. So now he comes back in 2023. He's allowed to play in Melbourne, and he wins the tournament. You couldn't write a better script than that. Vindication from Djokovic. Well done, well-deserved win, and I am sure that everybody in Serbia is very happy with the results from Melbourne. Now let's talk about Joe Bidenapolis. From Djokovic, we move over to Greece's favorite son, Joe Biden, and we have this title from the Washington Post, which says, short on time, Biden sought new Ukraine tank plan to break stalemate. And the byline reads, amid growing discord, a new proposal and a week of nonstop negotiations finally resolved the dispute as Germany relented on Leopards and the U.S. pledged, eventually, in parentheses, eventually, to provide tanks, Abrams tanks, to Kiev. And so what this article is basically saying is that, according to their sources in the Biden White House, Anthony Blinken, he came to Joe Biden with a plan in order to break Olaf Schultz, his resistance to sending Leopard 2s by promising that the U.S. would send Abrams tanks to Ukraine. And once the U.S. made that promise, Olaf Schultz would be on the hook to send Leopard 2s to Ukraine. And so that's exactly the plan that Blinken and Biden proposed to Olaf Schultz. Olaf Schultz agreed. He approved sending Leopard 2s to Ukraine. And then the United States said, yeah, you know, those Abrams tanks that we promised to send, well, we're going to send them in about a year or two to Ukraine. So basically, this article is just saying that Blinken and Biden outsmarted the German chancellor. They played him. That is not good. That is not good. To be duped by Anthony Blinken and Joe Bidenapolis. Not a good look for Olaf Schultz. Olaf gave an interview to the German newspaper Tagesspiegel, and he was asked to comment on Ukraine's demand for warplanes. And Olaf Schultz said, despite France and the U.S. not ruling out such assistance, the question of combat aircraft does not arise at all. I can only advise against entering into a constant outbidding competition when it comes to weapon systems, Schultz said. According to Schultz, as soon as Berlin makes a decision on a weapons shipment to Ukraine, the next debate begins in Germany. Well, duh. I think Olaf Schultz has just realized, one, that he was duped by Blinken and Biden with the tanks, and two, he is on the escalation escalator and he can't get off. He can't get off now. He's committed to sending Leopard 2s, and now they're going to get him on the hook to send fighter jets. And he's trying to say, stop. We need to stop this. We shouldn't be outbidding each other for sending weapons to Ukraine. This isn't a contest. Well, Olaf, it is a contest, and you're losing. You're on the hook now for fighter jets, and you're going to be on the hook for more money, and eventually for troops, long-range missiles, all of it. You're on the hook now. Now that you've agreed to the tanks, you're on the escalation escalator. And this all started off with helmets. This all started off with Germany sending helmets to Ukraine. And from helmets, we've arrived at Leopard 2s, and pretty soon we're going to get to fighter jets. And Olaf Schultz is telling Tagesspiegel, how the hell do I get off of this escalation escalator? How do I get off this thing? How do I get off this thing? Oh boy, oh boy. Olaf Schultz. Maybe he's had his red pill moment, finally. Maybe he's finally woken up to the fact that he's being played. Warplanes, long-range missiles, ATACMS. How about submarines? How about submarines? There's something that some officials in Ukraine are talking about. Actually, the deputy foreign minister, a man who once called Olaf Schultz a sulky, sultry, sexy liver sausage, Andrei Melnick. This is the Bandera supporter, the guy that's worshiping Bandera. He was one-time Ukraine ambassador to Germany, and then he got removed from his post as ambassador to Germany because he was just constantly poking at Olaf Schultz and making fun of the German government and the German people, and eventually Ukraine had to get him out of there because the guy was running his mouth a bit too much. He gave that radio interview where he openly supported Bandera and all the crimes of World War II. And so the Zelensky regime said, yeah, maybe this is not a good look for us, because the Zelensky regime is obsessed with media optics. And so instead of actually firing Melnick, they gave him the position of deputy foreign minister for Ukraine. And he came out with a tweet yesterday and said, with or without German submarines, one thing is clear. After this war of aggression, Russia, shall it survive as a state, will be prohibited to have any navy in the Black Sea like it was after its crushing defeat, in all caps, in the Crimean War, according to the Paris Peace Treaty of 1856. So Melnick, he tweeted the other day that it's time to send submarines to Ukraine, and his follow-up tweet is saying after the submarines, or with or without the submarines, one thing is clear, that Russia will be destroyed, and once it's destroyed, well, it should never be allowed into the Black Sea ever again. This is the tweet coming from Melnick. Submarines, huh? All right. They're just asking for anything now. They're going to ask for nuclear weapons. You'll see. You'll see when we get to a very critical point of this conflict, and things are looking really, really, really bad for the Zelensky regime, and they get really, really, really desperate. You know that someone in the government, maybe this Melnick guy, is going to say, "Shouldn't you give us nuclear weapons?" The defeat of Russia, they are obsessed with this defeat and dismembering of Russia, aren't they? They really want Russia to be destroyed and dismembered, broken apart, balkanized. This is an absolute dream for all of these crazies, isn't it? I did a story the other day about some conference in the European Union that's taking place, I believe, January 31st. And it's being put together by two European Parliament members, I believe from Poland. And they're putting together this event, this conference, where they're going to discuss how to break up the Russian Federation, how to turn it into a bunch of microstates, and then how to plunder all of Russia's resources. And so This, this MEP who is putting together this conference, well, she gave a very interesting speech, a very interesting statement the other day with regards to Russia. This is MEP Anna Fotka. She said that Russia is a threat and it must be destroyed forever. That's a direct quote. Fotka spoke about the danger that Russia allegedly posed for centuries. If the empire is not stopped now, it will continue to move to the west and occupy all democratic countries. She then said that the European Parliament and many other parliaments around the world have called Russia a terrorist state, and it must be liquidated. She suggested that the Western countries think over the concept of creating free and independent states in the pro-Russian territory, the basis of which will be indigenous peoples, and Western countries will take care of their prosperity. The West will also establish control over the wealth of Russia, because, as it turns out, Russia has nothing. It all belongs to the peoples that Moscow exploits mercilessly. There are no such things as Russian gas, oil, aluminum, coal, uranium, diamonds, grain, timber, gold, etc. All these resources belong to individual peoples living in these territories. Okay, a lot of projection there, calling Russia an empire. A lot of projection there. But underneath the projection, you get to the truth of the matter, which is that they want to break apart Russia because they want all of those natural resources. When Ms. Fotia says that Russia has nothing and it belongs to the peoples that Moscow exploits mercilessly, what she is saying is that all the resources that Russia has belongs to us European elites. Why does Russia control all of these resources? We as European elites, we should be controlling these resources. That is what she really means. And this is the truth of the entire conflict in Ukraine. It was all about, and remains about, regime change in Russia. And through that regime change, the EU elite are going to get their hands on all of the natural riches and resources that Russia has. And they're all going to make a whole lot of money. This is what they are thinking about. This is what they're dreaming about. These people are nutcases. These people are nutcases. Hubris, narcissism, wow. Anna Fotka, if Napoleon couldn't do it, do you think that you're smarter than Napoleon? Do you think that you're actually going to do what Napoleon and what so many people after and before Napoleon tried to do, couldn't do? Do you actually believe that you're smarter and more clever than these historic figures? Yeah, they probably actually believe that. Vander Crazy actually believes that she could be the one that could do what so many others have tried to do and failed. No doubt Zelensky has been sold on this. I am absolutely positive that Burns and the CIA, they sat Zelensky down and they told him, Zelensky, my man, not only are you going to go down as the greatest actor in all of history, but you're going to go down as the man who finally destroyed the Russian Federation. And Zelensky was probably like, oh yeah, that's good. I like that. That sounds really, really good. Now give me $10 billion. Give me $10 billion. I've got a house in Beverly Hills that I want to close on. You know that's what they told Zelensky. You know it. It's good to see that our EU tax money is going to such important causes like like having these events aimed at destroying and dismembering Russia. It's good to see that the money that we pay to the EU is being used for these types of things. So that was the statement from the MEP from Poland. The event is going to take place in a couple of days, which is focused on destroying and dismembering Russia. They're not hiding it. They're actually very, very relieved to say it. You know, this is something that they've been holding inside of them for a long, long time. Their machinations, their dreams to be the ones to take over Russia and to conquer all of Russia's resources and wealth. You know, they dream about this stuff as European Parliament members, as the elite ruling class. My dream is that I could be sitting on the throne in Red Square at the Kremlin overlooking my kingdom. You know, that's what's going through their freaking heads. Man, these people. Man, these people. But they're relieved to finally be able to say these things. You know, they've been wanting to say these things for a long time. They've been wanting to say that they want to go to war with Russia. They've been wanting to say that they hate Russians. They've been wanting to say that Russians should not be part of Europe, that Russia should be dismembered and destroyed. And what did she say? Did she say liquidated? Is that what she said? Liquidated. Must be liquidated. They've been wanting to say this. They've probably been holding this in for a long, long time. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. And escalation is a two-way street. We talk a lot about the collective West and NATO escalating. What about Russia and its escalation plans? What happens when Russia decides to escalate? What happens to all of these countries in and around Russia? What happens if the US decides, you know what, maybe with a new administration, maybe with a new president, a new White House, what happens if the US says, we're done pouring money into Ukraine and into Europe and into NATO. Let them figure it out. What happens then? What do all of these countries that are talking dismemberment and liquidation towards Russia, what happens to them when they don't have the big bodyguard behind them? What happens to them? Russia has, I believe they have expelled the Latvian ambassador. I believe they've also told the Estonian ambassador to leave, and they've downgraded diplomatic relations. I'm not sure if the ambassadors have been expelled, but I'm positive that Russia is downgrading the diplomatic relations between Latvia and Estonia in Russia. And this is significant because as Russia breaks diplomatic relations with Latvia and Estonia and Lithuania, and perhaps Poland soon, perhaps, as they break diplomatic relations, that's it. That is it. When things really start to go bad, there's no embassy in Moscow. There's no way to conduct diplomacy or to find an off-ramp. You've lost that ability. And Russia is signaling to the Baltic states, to Eastern Europe, and to the EU, I think, that, you know what? Escalation's a two-way street. And so, as we inch closer to all-out conflict, we're going to expel your diplomats and we're going to cut off the one line of communication that you may have in order to find diplomatic solutions to our problems. This was a serious move from the Russian government and from the foreign ministry. But Latvia, Estonia, they should really, really think hard about what they're saying, and they should take a look at the actions from the Russian foreign ministry, because the actions that the Russian foreign ministry is taking shows that if things get really, really bad, then Estonia, Latvia, they're going to be in big, big trouble, and they're not going to have anyone to talk to on the Russian side, because their embassy is going to be downgraded to non-existent. So I just wanted to say that escalation is not only something that the collective West can do, it's also something that Russia is very capable of doing. So you have the beautiful, big high-rises, the $1 million flats, the apartments here being built, and then everything is, on the other side, it's just hotels, abandoned hotels, and abandoned shops. Very strange, Limassol. Very interesting, strange city. Let's now talk about Turkey, Sweden, Finland, NATO. Erdogan came out with a comment the other day, and he said that his decision with regards to Sweden and Finland entering NATO is going to shock people. And what Erdogan meant is that Turkey may give the okay for Finland to enter NATO, and they may say that Sweden cannot enter NATO. And that's what Erdogan is floating out there, which I think would be just, man, oh man. Please do it, Erdogan. Please vote that way. Wolfgang's Steakhouse. I bet you there's a good steak there, huh? At Wolfgang's. Expensive steak. And here we have Guava. The Guava, this is like a beach bar. I don't know if it's still open. I think it is. Guava Beach Bar. Yeah, please do it, Erdogan. Please vote Finland in. That would just be great. That would be great. Finland is coming out, and they are saying that the whole Quran burning, the book burning, that happened a week ago, was actually part of Putin's master plan. This should be my clown world, but it's not. It should be. Man, Finland. What's happened to you, Finland? Man. Finland hints at Russian involvement in Sweden Quran burning, according to Reuters. So this was Putin's master plan in order to, what this article says, in order for Putin to create tensions between Sweden and Turkey. What he did is he got one of his double secret, triple, super duper secret agents in Sweden to burn the Quran, knowing that this would create the tension that's needed to block Sweden from entering NATO. I like the title, though. The title is great. Finland hints at Russian involvement in Sweden Quran burning. It hints at it. Doesn't know. It has no idea, actually, but it's hinting at it, you know? I'm hinting. You know what I'm hinting at? I'm hinting at the fact that the Quran burning, the book burning, was actually orchestrated by John Bolton and the neocons, because it was part of their master plan to create tensions between Sweden and Turkey. Therefore, Turkey would vote no to Sweden entering NATO, and thus John Bolton's Turkey regime change think tank that he set up in DC would be able to make the case for kicking Turkey out of NATO and for regime change in Turkey. How about that? How about that as a plan? That's what I'm hinting at. I'm just hinting at it. You know, I don't have any evidence. Just hinting at it. Let's do a clown world. Man, oh man. That should have been my clown world right there. No doubt about it. But this clown world is equally as good. So the Daily Express, they have a title that reads, Boris, Putin told me I could kill you in a minute. The Sun has their title, Boris, Mad Vlad threatened to kill me. Mad Vlad threatened to kill me. Oh boy, it is windy and rainy now. So basically what is going on here? Boris Johnson was interviewed for this BBC documentary. This is like going to be a 3-part BBC documentary called Putin versus the West, right? Putin versus the West. Oios Nicholas, Saint Nicholas. And we should prepare for a lot of these documentaries in February. A lot of propaganda documentaries in February are going to come out connected to Ukraine and the conflict and how evil Putin is, and Putin's fighting the West, and all these kinds of documentaries in order to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of the special military operation. So prepare yourselves for a lot of these propaganda documentaries. Жизнь это любовь, и любовь это жизнь. И зои нагапи ке агапи не зои. Life is love, and love life. Russian, Greek, English. Right, there's a fish tavern over here. I need to find somewhere indoors real quick. So Boris Johnson was interviewed for this documentary, and he basically said that he had a telephone call with Putin, and that Putin told him that he would be able to what did he say? He sort of threatened me at one point and said, Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile, it would only take a minute or something like that. He also said that I think from the very relaxed tone that he was taking, the sort of air of detachment that he seemed to have, he was just playing along with my attempts to get him to negotiate. He said, Boris, you say that Ukraine is not going to join NATO anytime soon. What is anytime soon? And I said, well, it's not going to join NATO for the foreseeable future. You know that perfectly well, Johnson said of the call with Putin. Oh boy, Ben Wallace was also interviewed for this documentary, a 3-part series, Putin versus the West. Let's take some cover here. Yeah, so I don't know what to say. Mad Vlad. I like how the Sun, they come up with the Mad Vlad threatened to kill me. Putin told me I could kill you in a minute. Boris Johnson is another narcissist. Attention hog, isn't he? He just loves to have the spotlight on him. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. Once again, Boris Johnson, he should not be making clown worlds. He should just go somewhere and retire, but instead he keeps on making the clown world segments. I'll leave it there, theduran.locals.com. We are also on Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code GOODDAY. Take care.